Students, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
9 students. Attendance, unless you have, yes, let us see. Yes, so let us start. Solving equations. Can you all see the screen? You can see the screen, no? Yes. Okay, let's start. It's a relatively easy section, but students sometimes make mistakes and have difficulty. I will talk about those. And let me first get this recorded.
Recording in progress.
Okay, students, today's topic is solving equations. What is an equation? Equation is is a statement where you have the equal sign. It says an equation of x is a statement that two algebraic expressions are equal. So best is to understand it using examples. So let me go to the app. It will be boring to just read from the note now. So you also can read the note later also. You're supposed to read it before you come, but anyway, let us see. Solutions of equations is the topic. Solutions of equations. So examples of equations, for example, 5x plus 3 is equal to 7. This is an example of an equation. Equal sign is there, no? Algebraic expression. Expression involving an unknown x. So we know in algebra we use x to mean any real number. Now when we say 5x plus 3 is equal to 7, this equation is satisfied for some values of x and not for others. In fact, if you put x equals 1, left hand side becomes 5 times 1, that is 5 plus 3, 8. Right hand side is 7. So if you put x equals 1, it is not a solution of this equation. X equals 1 is not. What is a solution? Solution is a value of x that satisfies this equation. Is not a solution. Understand the concept. Is not a solution of this equation. In fact, you try any value that you wish, chances are that it is not a solution of this equation. But if you know how to solve it, you can get the value x is equal to 4 over 5. if you take x equals 4 over 5, is a solution. Is a solution. So trying to explain what a solution means is a solution. Why? Why? When we substitute x equals y into the left-hand side, substitute, meaning just put that value, substitute x equals 4 over 5 into the equation. Substitute that value, what will happen? Left-hand side, LHS. Left-hand side of the equation is, look at it, 5x plus 3. Now if you substitute this value for x, it becomes 5 times, this is times 4 over 5 plus 3. In such a situation, we have to do the multiplication, division first. Then you do addition and subtraction. So now 5 to 5 cancels, common factors, common non-zero factors of the top and the bottom. So 5, so this is 1 and 1. So 4 plus 3, yes, I do it in a very elementary manner, 7. Right hand side of the equation, that is also 7. RHS, right hand side of the equation is also given to be 7. So this value, x equals 4 over 5, satisfies. That is what we mean by satisfies the equation. So learn the English words also as we go on, move on. So therefore, you know the 3 dots, therefore x equals 4 over 5 satisfies. Satisfies the equation. Satisfies this equation. Given equation. That is what we mean by therefore it is a solution. X equals 4 over 5 is a solution. Solution. Visandumak කියන්නේ solution. Okay, Tamil speaking students. Okay, understand what a solution is. It's a value that satisfies the equation when we substitute that value into the equation. X equals 1 is not a solution of this equation. Why? If you substitute x equals 1 into the left hand side, we get 8. Right hand side is 7. They are not equal. Therefore, x equals 1 is not a solution. I will just ask why here. So when you go through the note, you try to reason it, give a reason, justify why it is not a solution. Other equations. So this is our first example. First example of an equation. Maybe sounds very elementary, but we pay more attention to the concept so that your mathematical understanding, mathematical maturity develops, although the content is basically done for O-level. That is not something that you should be ashamed of, because you have done it in your mother tongue and we are doing it in English. So it's a good way to slowly build up your mathematical vocabulary also, the word count. Okay, now another example of an equation is something like this. Say x squared minus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. This is an algebraic expression which involves equal signs. So it's an equation. Such an equation is called quadratic. Quadratic. It is an example of a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation. Okay? Vargaja Samikarnaya. First one we considered is only x term is there. So such equations are called linear equation. So today we learn how to solve any linear equation and any quadratic equation as well. How do you, so if you pick a value, say something like is x equals minus 1, is x equals minus 1 a solution of this? How do you answer? You substitute x equals 1 into this equation. Left hand side gives, if this is a solution, when you substitute, it should be 0. Let us see. Substitute and see. Substitute and see. So what do you mean by substitute and see? Left hand side. Take the left hand side. Vangata patta. Left hand side is this side. Tamil speaking students. X squared minus 3x plus 2. Now we are substitute and see. No, so x equals minus 1. So this is going to be minus 1 squared minus 3 times minus 1 plus 2. So learn everything, okay? So you may have forgotten after O levels if you have not done any mathematics. So minus 1 squared is minus 1 times minus 1. Even that we give a reason. So minus 1 times minus 1, what is the answer? Minus 1 times negative is positive, 1 times 1 is 1. So that is plus 1. That is minus 1 squared. Plus 1 here. Minus 3 times minus 1. So there is a multiplication sign there. This is 3 times x. So that becomes minus plus 3 plus 2. What is that? 5 plus 2 is 7. Right hand side of that equation is equal to 0. Therefore, left hand side is not equal to the right hand side. Left hand side is 7, right hand side is 0. Therefore, x equals minus 1 is not a solution of that equation. If you put x equals plus 1, it will be a solution. Check and see. Plus 1, 1 squared is 1. Minus 3 times 1. That is minus 3. So 1 minus 3 plus 2. Left hand side is that. What is it? 1 minus 3 plus 2. That is 0. Plus 1 and 2 is 3. Now 3 minus 3 is 0. Right hand side is also 0. X equals 1 is a solution. In fact, such equations do have, in general, 2 solutions. Not only x equals 1, x equals 2 is also a solution. No other value will be a solution of that equation. Meaning something like this happens. Left hand side is not equal to, so let me write it here. Left hand side, when you substitute, is not equal to right hand side. Meaning, it satisfies, it doesn't satisfy. X equals minus 1 doesn't satisfy the equation. If you haven't done mathematics in English, this is a very nice place to build, not only review mathematics that you have already done, but also which are needed for calculus. This is a pre-calculus course, no? But also to polish your mathematical vocabulary. Lots of terms, no? Everything is now said in English. So think of it as a lesson in English, if you will, if you know all the things. But we present it in a different manner. So it's not a solution. Now, if you try x equals 1 and see. Try x equals 1 and see. Okay? So that is, I leave it for you to do it as a homework. I said HW. So it's not only powers of x. something like next example. This is also an equation. Square root x plus 7 equals square root square root x plus 7 is equal to, say, 5. Look at that equation. What are the solutions? Square root x plus 7. If x is a positive number, if x is 0, it's not a solution. Because if x is 0, you get this side 7 and the other side 5. 0 is not a solution. If x is positive, in fact, positive number plus 7 would be more than 7. It would never be 5. This equation has no solutions. This equation has no real solutions. No real number would be a solution of this. No real solutions. In fact, if x is negative, this is going to be a complex number. Okay, so it's not a real number, square root of a negative number. But if you try any real number, this equation is not satisfied. So no solutions. So writing an equation would not tell us that it has solutions. Equations may or may not have solutions. Okay, so far, do you understand everything I explained in English? How many students are there? 10, huh? Oh, let's see. Right. Do you understand? Can you, talk a little. That would make things a little more interesting for me also. Huh? The next topic is the first topic that we consider. So we basically talked about equations, some examples given, and we also we also explained what a solution means. Okay, thank you. Now, next thing is, what is a linear equation? Next topic, linear equations. Linear equations. In mathematics, there are definitions. Definitions cannot be proved. අර්ථ දැක්වීම කියන ඒවා ඔප්පු කරන්න බෑ. සාධනය කරන්න බෑ. We all agree that those are the things that we taken as given. So, linear equation. What is a linear equation? A linear equation, there is a note also. I don't have to write this nicely, I think. A linear equation is an equation. What does that mean? Is an equation. So, a linear equation is an equation of the form ආකාරයෙන් කියන්නේ of the form ax plus b equal to 0, where we described a and b. We know x is the unknown symbol, no? A, where a and b, where a and b are real numbers. Numbers. Let us say this a are real numbers with, I could have put it there, with real numbers with a not equal to 0. A not equal to 0. If a is equal to 0, we don't say it is a linear equation, because no x is there, no? If a is 0, 0 times any real number is 0. So it's not considered as a linear equation. Linear equation is like the example that we did. First example, what was it? 5x plus 3 is equal to 7. Now there is something. These are trivial things. I know, but it's important to get them into your mind the proper way. So there is something there. This is an example of a linear equation. Why? So you need to know the meaning of a linear equation, definition of a linear equation. That is this. Any equation of this form මේ වගේ එකක් මේ ආකාරය කියලා කියන්නේ in this form is a linear equation. Check 5 is like a x plus b equal to it's not equal to 0 no? But if I take this to this side, you can make this equation into an equation which looks like this. I will just put this so that way you will not get confused. 5x plus 3 is equal to 0. Is that a linear equation? Yes. Why? It's of this form. මේ විදිහටමනේ තියෙන්නේ. 7 තිබ්බනම් කරන විදිය කියන්න. I'll tell you how to do it if it is 7. And you know it also. But anyway, 5x plus 3 equals 0. That is an example of a linear equation. Second one, say 3x minus 2 equal to 0. What are A and B here? A is 5, B is like 3. A equals 5, B equals 3. Therefore, this is an example of a linear equation. It is a linear equation. This is also a linear equation. What is A? Must be of this form. If it is linear, it must be of this form. Some non-zero constant real number times x plus a real number equal to 0. So linear equations, a linear equation, I have put S there. Linear equation is an equation of this form or which can be transformed to this form. So I'm just directly giving. So A is equal to, now A is 3. What is B? Can somebody tell me what B is for this equation? Must be of the form ax plus b, no? B is, I never said B should be positive. This is the same as 3x plus minus 2 equal to 0. So B is taken to be minus 2. It's of this form ax plus b plus minus 2 is minus 2. So that is an example of a linear equation. Linear equations are the simplest to solve. How do you solve a linear equation? How to solve AX solution? How to solve? So you all know this, I'm sure. How to solve? So start with AX plus B is equal to 0. Now add minus b to both sides. What will happen? X is only here, no? So try to keep that term on the left hand side and throw everything else to the other side. So taking this b to the other side is the same as adding minus b to both sides. When you add minus b to this becomes 0. B minus b. This becomes 0 plus minus b, that is minus b. So from this we can get the equivalent equation AX equals minus b. So by adding minus b to both sides, so you say when you take this to the other side, it changes its sign. Same thing as saying adding minus b to both sides, we get an equivalent statement, equivalent equation. මේ දෙකම එකමයි. මේකෙන් මේකත් හම්බ වෙනවා, මේකෙන් මේකත් ගන්න පුළුවන්. From this, if you add minus b to both sides, we get this equation. If you take this and add b to both sides, we get this equation. Okay? So when you study this in O-level, you just write the steps and get an answer and things are over. But there are also, what are we doing? We are creating an equation equivalent to this. ඒ දෙකම මේකෙන් මේකත් එනවා මේකෙන් මේකත් එනවා දෙකම එකමයි එතකොට. So the x values that satisfy this equation are the same as x values satisfying this equation. So it's an equivalent statement. Then we take x divide by a times x equals minus b, divide by a. So you get minus b divided by a, because we know, since we can do that, since a is not equal to 0. See, if a is 0, you cannot divide by 0, undefined. But since a linear equation carries that condition with it, a not equal to 0, so we can divide by this. This is the same as this minus sign can be written here, or at the bottom, or in the middle. So, very minor things, but I'm not sure whether you have gone to that detail. Okay, so these are the same. X equals minus b over a. So, now I said these are equivalent equations. This equation has only one x value in it. So, this equation must have only one, that value as the solution. If you take this and substitute into this, it will be satisfied. Now you know how to solve any linear equation. So, some equations, they don't directly look like this, but they can be transformed to this. So, do you understand it up to this place? So, solutions, how to solve. So, we have solved. Because these steps are equivalent, this value must be a value satisfying this. You don't even have to check, because we said these are equivalent. So, we don't put this. This is if and only if. These steps are the same. When that happens, like O level, you don't put that. But that is there. So now you know how many solutions are there. Therefore, ax plus b equal to 0 has only one solution. One solution. It is x equals negative b over a. Has only one solution. It is x equals. So take about 2 more minutes on linear equations, and we shall go to quadratic equations. So this is clear, huh? Now I said take a few more minutes on linear equations, just to give you few more examples. So example, solve, that is how they are given, solve or find the solutions of. Solve the equation 3x plus 7 equals 5. As it is, it's not linear, but if you take this term to this side, it becomes a linear equation. So we call this also a linear equation. Only x term, x variable term is x, and no x squared, nothing, no square root x's, nothing. Such a equation is a linear equation, because if you take this to this side, it will come to that form. So solve this. So we take 3x plus 7 equals 5, and then throw 7 to the other side. Keep 3x on this side. 3x equals 5 minus 7. So you might laugh, no? We know all this. So yes, I know. Therefore, x is equal to minus 2 divided by 3. If you substitute this into this, it will be satisfied, because these steps are equivalent. Next example, solve 2x minus 7 equals 5x minus 1. Again, it's a linear equation. See, x terms will be combined to give one x term. Then we have terms, constant terms, terms without a variable. So how do you solve this one? Here, we can do it in two ways. We can keep 5x there and solve. Throw 1 to this side and 2x to that side. Because 5x is bigger, the coefficient is bigger. Coefficient of x in here is 5. The number that comes with x is called a coefficient. F-I-C-I-E-N-T. Coefficient. 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 See, 5. These are constant terms. No variables are there in those. So, first method, take 2x to this side and throw 1 to this side. Meaning add minus 2x to this equation, okay, and add plus 1 to this equation. To kill, meaning take this to this side. So you get minus 7 plus 1 equals 5x when you take 2x to the other. Here minus 6 is equal to 3x. Now you can switch sides. That is also the same. If A is equal to B, A equals to B, if and only if B is equal to A. It's a property of the equal side. So minus 6, so 3x equals minus 6, switch sides and right, then now divide by 3. Minus 6 divided by 3, so we get x is equal to minus 2. Okay, now you might be, the things are really easy. Hope you understand everything at the first sight itself. Next example for a linear equation is x over 3 plus 5x over 2 is equal to 7. How do you solve this equation? Fractions are involved. So best is to clear the denominators. Clear the denominators. Here 3 is in the denominator. For this term 2 is in the denominator. Okay. Least common denominator. We call it LCM. You know that know this in your mother tongue. Least common LCD. Least common denominator. LCM is the least common multiple. When we consider those in denominators, we call least common denominator. What is the least common denominator? Two denominators are 2 and 3. So 2 times 3 is the least common denominator. So multiply the entire equation by the least common denominator. 6. So 6 times x over 3. That is to clear the denominators. Here 6 times 5x over 3 equals 7 times 6. So we are multiplying. If you call this equation 1, we take equation 1 and multiply it by 6, the least common denominator. One way, so maybe you all know how to do a line and take the common denominator and do it also. This is 6 times 7, 42. So now cancellation 2, 1. This is 1, 2, 3. So what is it? 2x first term plus, what is this? 5x over 2, no? Sorry. So this becomes 3. 3 times 5x is, so this is 1. 3, 15x is equal to 42. Therefore, 17x equals 42. Therefore, x equals 42 over 17. 42 over 17. So that's how you solve linear equations with fractions. I did it this way. because the next problem is an interesting one. These are just a very basic review of equations, solving of equations done at very uh, at lower grades. But look at the next problem, next example. 1 over x minus 2 equals 2 over x minus 3. Solve this equation. It doesn't look like a linear equation, but you will be
Recording stopped.
Students, can you believe the power went off? I'm joining through hotspot. Okay, so let me see whether I can get my app also while in hotspot. I'm not sure, but you are the host now. That is also okay. So it can. Just wait. Wait, students, be patient. Wait, students, power came. When I join through hotspot, I cannot use my app from the same phone. So you all wait, don't leave. I will rejoin through the other. Okay, students, I'm back. Yes, I have to record also. Okay. Students, can you all hear me and see the screen now? Yes. Yes, okay. So now take this equation. How do you solve this equation? Now the common denominator, if you want to clear the denominators, what you have to do is you have to multiply this by, earlier remember, it was 2 and 3, 3 and 2 here. To clear it, clear the denominators, we multiplied by 6, no? Because that is the least common denominator of 2 and 3. Just to take the multiplication and multiply them and multiply out throughout the equation by that, it will work. Same thing here also. Here, least common denominator is x minus 2 times x minus 3. Now, this is not as easy as we think, in fact. Now, when you multiply out, what will happen? How do I multiply this? Let us call this equation 1 and say 1 multiplied by this, or this multiplied by 1. Both are the same. No? Multiplication is commutative. No? So here, let us put it in front. X minus 2, x minus 3, ugly, x minus 3 times 1 over x minus 2 is equal to, again, the other side also should be multiplied by the same, times the other side is, you can put multiplication signs whenever, wherever you wish when it is a multiplication, x minus 3. So I multiplied by this times like 2 here and 3 there, I would have multiplied by 6 now. So same thing here also. This is the least common denominator of this equation. Now, I see a common factor, x minus 2 here at the top and x minus 2 at the bottom. But I need a parenthesis now. This line works as a parenthesis for top and bottom both. So anytime you want it, you can put it. So this is actually 2 over bracket x minus 3. Bracket was not there, but now I need the bracket. Now we do the mistake of cancelling x minus 2 to x minus 2. All is well, no? Here, x minus 3 to x minus 3. I have highlighted this during the orientation. Left hand side now is x minus 3 bracket. Nothing in front of the bracket. So I just write x minus 3. This side 2 times here. 2 times what is left? X minus 2. X minus 2 times 2 is what we have, but that 2 can be written in front also. The mistake, the minute you see this, x minus 2, x minus 3, we have to note that x is not equal to. Now, if x is equal to 2, this would be 0. If x is equal to 3, this would be 0. So this equation cannot be considered for x equals 2 and x equals 3. We don't pay attention to those when we learn them for O-level. Okay, but that would be detrimental for this learning of calculus later. This is pre-calculus course. Even the old stuff should be done in a mathematically precise manner. One student is. Yes, okay. So now, all throughout, x is not equal to 2. So that is at the very beginning. This was not told to us, just the equation given. But for the existence of that equation, we need x දෙක වුණා නම් මෙතන බිඳුව වෙනවනේ. x 3 වුණා නම් 3 ඍණ 3 බිඳුව වෙනවා. බිඳුවෙන් බෙදන්න බෑනේ. Tamil speaking students, are there any Tamil speaking students? Are there any Tamil speaking students today? If you are there, just yes, okay, right. So if you put x equals 2 into this, you get 1 over 0, no? 1 over 0 we have said undefined. 2 over, if you put 3, x equals 3, this cannot be considered because 3 minus 3 is 0, 2 over 0. Division by 0 is undefined, nothing else, okay? So this equation has no meaning for two values of x equals 2 as well as x equals 3. So at the very beginning, they cannot be solutions. By any chance, if you get x equals 2 as after solving all this, we immediately say it cannot be a solution because this equation does not even exist. It's not there if x is equal to 2. See, x, nothing else said x represent a real number. Okay, so x should not be equal to 2 or 3. So now, therefore, x minus 2 is not equal to 0. So non-zero factors, common factors of the top and the bottom, non-zero. X is not equal to 2, not equal to 3. No? So this cancellation is okay. So all this is done under this. So now this is x minus 3 equals 2x, 2x, 2 times. This is minus 4. Don't make silly mistakes. Here also, since this is bigger, you can keep it on that side to avoid negative coefficients. But let me just take it to this side and do x minus 2x equals, what is it? 3 taken to the other side, 3 minus 4. Minus 3 became plus 3. This is minus x equals minus 1. Now divide by minus sign or multiply by minus sign. You get x equals 1. So that is the solution of this equation. It's not these two. No? Now, before I move forward, I would like to do this problem that is there in the printed note. Next example, after that we go to quadratic equations. Example, what is it? 1 over x minus 2 equals 3 over x plus 2 minus, so here also we should have said solve, this is solve this equation, solve that equation. Here also solve this equation now. Solve the equation 1 over x minus 2 equals 3 over x plus 2 minus 6x over x squared minus 4. Now you did factoring earlier, no? What is the least common denominator? There must be x minus 2 in it, x plus 2 in it, and x squared minus 4. But x squared minus 4 is difference of two squares. Varga dehaka antaraya, difference of two squares. X squared minus 4, Tamil speaking students, 4 is 2 squared. So this factors into x minus 2, x plus 2. So no more new factors are necessary to remove x squared minus 4 if you are taking both of these. Because this is, it's like having 2 here, 3 here and 6 there. 2 times 3 would automatically clear that also. So x squared minus 4, these two are factors of that. So least common denominator for this equation, let us call this 1. What we have been asked is to solve this equation. When you multiply by, so multiply 1, what is it? X minus 2, I have to get this closed. x minus 2, x plus 2 times 1 over x minus 2. I said we can put the bracket anytime we want. Equals, if you're multiplying an equation like this, you have to multiply each term. Left hand side multiply. Now right hand side you have to multiply. Meaning multiply by that this term and by that this term. Both. So x minus 2, x plus 2 times 3 over x plus 2. Put a bracket. This is a side thing that we observed. Minus x minus 2, x plus 2 times, there we have 6x over x squared minus 4. 6x over x squared minus 4 is x minus 2, x plus 2. We have observed that here. Now here we have to say this is valid for, so what is the, what are the bad values? 2. X equals 2 would make this 0. Minus 2 would make this 0. And this also 0 only when x is either 2 or minus 2. So here we have to say x is, so after writing this, before we go here, we have to say x is not equal to plus 2 or minus 2 or the other way around, doesn't matter. X cannot be there one of these two values because if x is 2, this is undefined. If x is minus 2, this is undefined. For those values, this is also undefined. So x cannot be, you cannot, so let us see what happens after we simplify this. X minus 2 not equal to cancels. 1, 1. Here, x plus 2. X plus 2 cancels. Here, this and this cancels with this and that. What is left? From the left hand side, we will have x plus 2 equals right hand side. 3 times x minus 2 minus 6x. That's all. That is a linear equation. Only x terms with constants are there as variable terms. So x plus 2, next line, 3x, you have to multiply distributive property. 3x minus 6 minus 6x. What happens? X plus 2 equals 3x here, minus 3x minus 6. Minus 3x minus 6. So what will happen now? Take this minus 3x to this side. It will make it 4x. Shall I do it straight away? Take this 2 to the other side. It becomes minus 8. 4x equals minus 8. Therefore, x is equal to minus 8 over 4, which is minus 2. What are the solutions? Can you say x equals minus 2 is a solution? No, when x is minus 2, this is undefined. No equation. Now, after solving, we get x, but we know x cannot be, x is, but x is not equal to minus 2 here. Therefore, this equation, it has no solutions. It meaning the given equation has no solutions. Has no solutions. It has no solutions. Okay? So, this is done in the note also. You can check that now to understand. You might understand it better with what we just did. Now we go to quadratic equations. Quadratic equations. Linear equations done. Quadratic equations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 1 quadratic equations. What is a quadratic equation? Like linear equations, they are equations of the form without writing it. Here, linear equations, I wrote a linear equation is an equation of this form. Now, quadratic equations. A quadratic equation is an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, where for it to be a quadratic, a should not be 0. So I'll put it like this: a not equal to 0, comma b and c are real numbers. Are in real numbers, let us use this symbol, are in R. R is the set of all real numbers, no symbol. See, different ways of saying the same thing. So if a is equal to 0, it is not no x squared term is there. If b is non-zero, it would be a linear equation then. So a should not be 0. Now an example of a quadratic equation is x squared minus 3x plus 2 equal to 0. How do you solve a quadratic equation? Various methods are there. Factoring method, factoring, by factoring method. Can we factor this? X squared, factoring method. X squared minus 3x plus 2 equal to 0. How do you factor? This factors nicely. You see, even if you cannot factor quadratics with big numbers, with smaller numbers, it's really easy. How do you write? Yeah, you open two parenthesis equal to 0. X squared. To get x squared, it should be x here and x here. No other ways to form x squared. No. 2, again, 2 and 1. So, 1, 2, or 2, 1. This is plus 2x. So, both should be either pluses or must be minuses. Because this number is obtained by multiplying this by this. First term is multiplying this by this. Front, FOIL method. Front, outer, inner. Last, FOIL, FOIL method. Front. So when you multiply this and this, front, x squared. This and this, outer. And then inner, this and this. And then this and this, last. Okay, so if this is negative and this is positive, both must be negatives. Now multiply and see, x times x, x squared. Minus 2x minus x, that is minus 3x. Minus 1 times minus 2 plus 2 equal to 0. So very elementary factorizations, that's enough. For O-level you do more than that, I think. But if you can factor a simple quadratic, when it factors, we handle at O-level also you have non-factoring quadratics. We'll be doing that first method. So this one factors. Now it's a property of real numbers that if two real numbers multiply to give you 0, it should be either. This one equation gives me two things. A times B equal to 0 if and only if A equal to 0 or B equal to 0. If you multiply two non-zero numbers, you can never get 0. බිඳුව නොවන සංඛ්‍යාවයක් වැඩි කළ බිඳුව ගන්න බෑ. Okay, so now it's like this. Seven experience, you can never get 0 by multiplying two non-zero numbers. Non-zero numbers either positive or negative. So AB will also have a sign, it will not be 0. This is like A, this is like B. So we have x minus 1 equal to 0, no bracket necessary when there is nothing in front of it, or x minus 2 equal to 0. From this we get x is equal to 1, take this to the other side, take O, x is equal to 2. So this equation has two distinct solutions. The equation we meaning the equation, we have two distinct, distinct, distinct solutions. These types of distinct solutions, they are called roots also. Solutions are called, solutions of an equation are called roots. Two distinct roots. Two distinct, actually real. Two, I'll put real here. Two real, 1 and 2 real numbers, no? Two real distinct solutions. Quadratic equation. And now that is the factoring method. I need to do another example for the factoring method. Students, next example, x squared minus 4x plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 0. It's a quadratic. Ax squared, a is 1, bx, b is 4, plus c. So that's a quadratic. I didn't say that here. This is a quadratic because it looks like this. A is 1, 1x squared, no x squared. Minus 3 is b and c is 2. So factoring method. Now it works well for this also. If you try to factor, we know this is x plus 2 whole thing squared equal to 0. See, what is a plus b squared? A plus b squared, don't say a squared plus b squared. A plus b squared is a plus b times a plus b. When you work it out, you get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Twice the product of these two comes. Do this and see. First term squared, x squared. Multiply and multiply by 2. 2ab. When you multiply these two, 2x. When you multiply again by 2, you get 4x. Plus last term squared, 2 squared. Or you can just try to factorize. Then you get factors as x plus 2, x plus 2. Now x plus 2 squared equal to 0. Okay. This is x plus 2 times x plus 2. No? So you get x plus 2 equal to 0 or x plus 2 equal to 0 twice. Therefore, our solution is x is equal to minus 2. How many times? Twice. Coincident roots. Coincident roots. Coincident solutions. I said another word for solution is roots. We have real coincident roots in that equation. Coincident meaning they are the same. There are two, but they are the same. Coincide. Some path. Coincide. Falls on the same thing. So, some people say it has only one solution. One distinct solution. Or another way to say it, it has coincident roots. X equals minus 2. Only one distinct real solution. So, a quadratic equation can have two real distinct solutions or real coincident solutions. And then we go to, so factoring method, both are coming under factoring method. Then, let us say, taking square roots, another method. I have a meeting starting at 5, but we have to go till 6 now. Students, can you wait there? I will join that meeting for 10 minutes and come back and continue. Is that okay? Is that okay? Can you, I will join that meeting and tell them that I'm at a lecture. My lecture isn't over, and give my opinion on something, and then quickly come back. And so it is now 5:14. Shall we say start at 5:30 and continue? Please don't leave, because there are lots of stuff I want to say about quadratic equations and get you ready for the other course. I'm sure the students who are doing this would be at a much better advantage when they go to the next course, Mathematics 1, yeah, institutional core module. So don't think the stuff is easy. Therefore, you can just somehow pass the exam. So there is no issue. Attend the lectures. Okay, so whenever I can, I take the lectures, and when I cannot, I get Miss Chanika to do them. So shall we say 5:30 to 6? So 15-minute break. So I will leave this on and then join the other meeting and come in 15 minutes. Okay? Right. Don't leave. If you leave, come back at 5:30 in 15 minutes. Thank you. Students, I came from that meeting, but two students have left. I said we'll start at 5:30 now. So we'll start at 5:30, yeah? Allowing, since they have left, and I said start at 5:30 now. So we'll start at 5:30 and go till 6, huh? Okay? I will leave this on. Okay, students, one more has left. Now I was going to do something really important. Yes, my need. Yeah, it was 8. So 8:30. Right, let's start 5:30. Now I was going to do another method, but this example is extremely important. Example, it's an elementary equation, quadratic. Let me ask you how you would solve it. Can you see the screen? You cannot. Okay. I'll example. I have to do the recording also. Share is done.
Recording in progress.
Okay, students. Next example is solve x squared equals x. Can you solve it? X squared equals x. Some students divide by x, both sides, and say x equals 1. You cannot divide by x. It's not told that x is not equal to 0. Actually, if x is equal to 0, this side is 0 and this side is 0. If you divide by 0, you will lose that solution. So this should be solved not by dividing by x, but by the use of the factoring method. Take this x squared, don't do this. X squared equals x equals 1. Don't do this. Why? Cannot divide by you. If you do that, you will lose. You will not get the solution. Not get the solution x equals 0. You will lose that solution. That is why you should not do this. If you know x is positive, then it's okay. If x is positive, it's not 0. No. Before dividing, you have to make sure that it is not 0. X squared equals x, nobody said x being not equal to 0. It's not like the previous one where we had 1 over x minus 2. Whether we are told or not, we know 1 over x minus 2 has no meaning when x is equal to 2. It's not like that here. This equation is defined for no bad values for x. Left hand side has a meaning, right hand side has a meaning. For all x. We want to know the values of x for which the two sides are equal. So how do you solve? If this method is not good, you have to take x squared. Consider x squared minus x equal to 0. Take x to the other side. Now you can factor x out now. What's going to be inside the bracket? X squared. To make x squared, this should be x. X times x is x squared. Then negative x no. So you just have to put 1. Now product of 2 equal to 0. So x equal to 0 or x minus 1 equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 1 are the to take one to the other side are the solutions. Now this type of thing, okay, these are not stressed when you do O-level algebra. Okay, it's O-level stuff, true. But these type of misconceptions, wrong calculations occur if you do not pay attention to the conditions under which you do things. Okay. Second method, so first method is for solving quadratic equations is factoring method, then taking square roots. Taking square roots, taking square roots. Let me go to the note and show you that. And then there is another method, completing the square. Completing the square. Completing the square. This is another method, factoring method. So there are 4 methods that the note talks about. Completing the square. And the last one, and the last one is the quadratic formula. For our purposes, you don't need these two that much. Okay, completing the square. I know O-level students, they curse when they have to do that. The too many tedious things happen. But then for O-level also there is the quadratic formula. So when you do calculus, it is your ability to somehow get the solutions of the quadratic, regardless of the method. If it factors, factoring method is very efficient. You can get the answers very quickly, like here, very quickly. After factoring, you can write down the answers immediately. These are this is an easy method. It can be applied only when you see x inside a square term and numbers on the other side. Completing the square, I shall skip. I will ask you to read, and then we shall go to quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. That method you need to know by heart, because when the factoring method fails, then you can immediately go to quadratic formula. Completing the square is to illustrate how you would get the answers in the quadratic formula. So let me now go to the note and show you how to do this. Linear equations in one variable, only x is there. So you can read this now with what I have done. You can read it and actually understand with better conceptual understanding. So an equation fractional, we did that also. We did this example, same example. Now read it and see. Okay? Quadratic equations. Quadratic equation is that was done. And then first method by factoring. They have done a different problem. So you try the example, and they have given the reason. I also gave. Then square root principle. Meaning if u squared is equal to c and c is greater than 0. Then u is equal to plus or minus square root c. If c is equal to 0, that they have not mentioned. If c is equal to 0, u is equal to 0. So now this is an example. X plus 3 squared equals 16. So you can apply this square root principle or taking square roots method. U squared equals c type. X plus 3 squared equals 16. Therefore, x plus 3 should be using this. X plus 3 should be plus or minus square root 16, 4. So take this to the other side, you get minus 3 plus or minus 4. x is 1 or x equals minus 7, meaning when you take plus sign, it becomes 1. When you take minus sign, minus 3 minus 4 is minus 7. So you can simply solve this without one could take this to the other side and do factoring, but see, x appear inside a square. So you can just extract the square root and do the problem. So just to show you a slightly more interesting problem on that, let me taking square roots. Let us try x 2x minus 1 squared equals 5. Taking square roots method. So take the square root. Therefore, 2x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus square root of the other side, 5. Square root 5. Therefore, 2x equals minus 1 taken to the other side plus 1 plus or minus square root 5. Therefore, x is equal to 1 plus or minus square root 5 divided by 2. Now, some students are not happy when they see solutions like that. They try to put square root 5 equals whatever 2 point something and try to get a single decimal number. But those are only approximations. Square root 5 is an irrational number. Okay, no decimal, finite decimal can represent that number. Decimal expansion of square root 5 continues forever without any repetition and without a termination. So these are the real solutions. This is a nice number. Okay, this is a nice number. It has some connection to when you put plus, it has a connection to what we call the golden number. Phi, golden ratio. Okay. So anyway, don't think that you have to write approximate answers. Never write equal to by putting 2 point something to this. It's only approximately equal to. X equal to those are the actual solutions. So just talked a bit about taking square root method. This is that. If the equation looks like this, don't do anything. No factoring, nothing. Just take plus or minus square root of the other side and write down the answers. Completing the square, what we are going to do is just show you from the note. Where is my, yes. So square root method, now you read it and see, yeah? Completing the square, yes. That they also do it very quickly, but I'm not going to do that. You read it and see. But quadratic formula is extremely important. When the quadratic doesn't factor, it's not a square of x is not inside a square. You cannot apply factoring method or taking square roots method. Completing the square method will work, but much easier to apply the result. It's known as the quadratic formula. That is what you see here. It's better when I write and show you. So let me go to the note and do it. Quadratic formula. That is the next method. So that will finish the discussion on quadratic equations. And then we go to bit on higher degree equations. This is quadratic, highest degree is 2 now. And then higher degree polynomials. And then talk a bit about absolute values. Okay, and stop at 6. Quadratic formula. Well, it's to write down solutions by looking at the coefficients. Quadratic equation is an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Conditions are a, b, c belongs to sign R. This is the mathematical way of saying A, B and C are in the set R, meaning A, B and C are real numbers. With if it is a quadratic, A should not be 0. If A is 0, 0 times x squared is 0 and that square term disappears. So it's no longer a quadratic. So quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is to write down the solutions from this directly. That is proved using the completion of square method. I don't know the Tamil phrase for that. In Sinhala, Varga Purnaya. In Tamil also there must be a phrase for that. Completing the square. Okay. You take the half the middle term and first factor x a out and then take half the coefficient of x together with x plus b over 2a whole thing squared and use the square root method to write down answers which will turn out to be x equals minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. It's worth memorizing this. This formula is known as the quadratic formula. It tells us how to write down solutions of any quadratic equation just using its coefficients. What are the coefficients of the formula? A, x squared, coefficient of x squared. B, coefficient of x. C, the constant term without any x. Using those three, we can write down the solutions. So let me now try an example. Example, solve x squared plus x minus 1 equal to 0. It doesn't factor. You can try. It doesn't factor nicely. Not like x squared plus 3x plus 2. Here, you cannot make. You can try open the brackets and you immediately realize nothing works. So how do you solve it? It's not square. X is at two places, not just inside a square. So taking square root method won't work. Quadratic completing the square would work, but why you learn the method, you have done it for O level, but now I'm not going to review it. We will immediately go to the formula. This is what you get when you do completing the square method on this. X equals, now recognize A, B and C. What is A? A here is 1. What is B? B is also 1. A x squared. A is the coefficient of x squared. 1. B is 1. And C is minus 1. Plus C, no? Yeah, minus 1. So how do I write x? X is equal to minus B. That is minus 1. Here, this formula. Just plug these values into the formula. මේ formula මේ values එක දානතුරු නිකම් වෙනවා solutions ටික. Okay, so completing the square method is what justifies this. How to prove this is to do that. But since you have done that for Oliver, we shall straight away concentrate on quadratic formula. Formula from which we can write down the solutions quickly. Square plus or minus square root b squared. B is 1. So 1 squared minus 4 times A is 1. A is 1. 4 times AC. You have to memorize this formula, okay? B squared minus 4AC. C is minus 1, so be careful. Put a bracket around minus 1 and put a multiplication sign over 2. These are the solutions. This is equal to, therefore, x is equal to minus 1 plus or minus, what is this? 1 and this whole thing is together. You have to do the multiplications first. Minus 1. Minus 4. This whole thing is minus 4. Correct? Minus 4 with this minus, it becomes plus 4. 1 squared is 1, so you get square root 5. In the book or in the note, this is explained also, but you should be able to. Now, all I did was I simplified that. Inside was 5. So, it has two real distinct roots. So, this quantity, what's inside, b squared minus 4ac is given a name and a notation. Name given is discriminant. b squared minus 4ac. This is called the discriminant. Discriminant of the quadratic equation. Discriminant of ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Name for discriminant, it's given the name is delta, capital delta, Greek letter. It's like a triangle. Delta equals b squared minus 4ac. So what is x? Quadratic formula now can be written as x is equal to minus b minus the coefficient of x plus or minus square root delta over twice the coefficient of x squared. Delta is b squared minus 4ac. Now, do you understand? You haven't done this for O levels, okay? Plus or minus. Now, you can immediately see the roots of this equation depends on delta. Nature of the solutions depend on delta. If delta is negative, no real solutions. If delta is negative, no real solutions. You can, square root of a negative number is not real. If delta is 0, only one solution. 2 becomes 1 if delta equals 0. Coincident roots. If delta is positive, you have two real distinct roots. Delta greater than 0. The quadratic equation ax, the quadratic equation has ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 has two real distinct solutions. Roots. Solutions same as roots. Two real distinct. Distinct means different. Venus. Two real distinct roots. Delta equal to 0. Two roots plus or minus should give you 2, but they both become minus b over 2a. Real coincident roots or solutions. Delta negative would say here when you apply the quadratic formula, you get a negative number inside a square root. No real solutions. Roots there are two roots, they are complex numbers. I will come to that in a minute. For now, for the first case, we did an example. X squared minus x plus x minus 1. Delta was 5. So you can write down, so let us do for the first one. Delta greater than 0. Example, let us say x squared x squared minus plus 3x plus 3x minus minus 1 equal to 0. Sorry. An example for delta greater than 0. Take this. What do we see? Find delta. A is equal to 1, B is equal to 3. Ax squared plus bx plus c. B is equal to 3, c is minus 1. From this, we can find delta. Now, delta equals b squared minus 4 times ac. What was inside the quadratic, inside the square root in the quadratic formula? What is that? B squared minus 4 is B squared is 3 squared minus 4 times A is 1 times C is minus 1. You get 9 plus 4. That is equal to 13. 13 is greater than 0. I opt delta is 13, greater than 0. Therefore, there must be two real distinct solutions. What are the solutions? X is equal to minus b minus 3. X is equal to minus b plus or minus square root delta over 2a is equal to minus b, that is minus 3. Minus 3 plus or minus square root 13. If this is like square 16, then it would be 4 plus or minus 4 square root 16. But square root 13, you have to just keep it there. 2 times 1 is 2. These are the solutions. So now you all can solve things using quadratic formula. Delta greater than 0. Delta equal to 0. Let us say x squared. Next example for discriminant equal to 0. Example x squared minus 6x plus 9 equal to 0. Now to solve it, you can immediately, when you find delta, you can immediately see that this, if delta is equal to 0, this is a perfect square, like x plus 2 squared. Okay, let us see. Delta is equal to, now what is A? A is 1, B is minus 6, C is 9. Delta is B squared minus 4AC. B squared minus 6 squared, that is plus 36. You don't have to write stuff like this. Minus 4 times A is 1 times C is 9. So you get here minus 6 squared, 36. Minus 9 times 4, 36 equal to 0. Delta equal to 0. So if you use quadratic formula, you get x is equal to minus b plus or minus root delta over 2a. This is equal to 0 now. 0. So minus b. This is equal to 0 now. So minus b over 2a. Minus b is plus 6 over 2a. 2 is equal to 3. X is equal to 3. But this method is not necessary. Note that. Note that x squared minus 6x plus 9 equal to 0 is the same as x minus 3 squared. This is a perfect square. Therefore, x minus 3 is equal to 0 plus square root method 0 twice. Therefore, x is equal to 3 twice. Coincident roots. Delta equals 0. Now I will do for delta negative. This is not there in the note, okay? Delta negative. Take something like x squared plus x plus 1 equal to 0. Solve this equation. Delta A, B, C. A is 1, B is 1, C is 1. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? So now delta is equal to b squared. B squared 1 squared minus 4 times a is 1, c is 1. You get minus 3. Delta is negative. Negative. Delta negative. So no real roots. No real solutions or roots. TSOLUTIO. No real solutions. No real roots. But let us apply the quadratic formula. Bad way to introduce you to complex numbers, but students like it. X squared plus x plus 1 equal to 0. Delta is minus 3 now. So delta, we found it minus 3 here. Delta is minus 3. I should have written the solutions here. No, that's easier. No real solutions. But x is equal to minus b. Minus 1 plus or minus square root delta. Minus 3 over 2a. 2 times. If you apply the quadratic formula, minus b plus or minus square root delta. Delta is b squared minus 4ac over 2a. This is how they look. Now, that is how they look. How much? 6-1. That's how they look. So, give me a few more minutes, okay? Got stuck. Now, this is where we stopped. X equals minus 1 plus or minus, we write this as square root 3 times square root minus 1 over 2. Now square root minus 1, that's not a real number, this is I. We did this during the orientation, but anyway, if you are not there, don't worry. 1 plus or minus square root 3i over 2. These type of numbers are called complex numbers. 2, no real solutions. 2, complex. Complex solutions. 2 complex solutions. 2 complex numbers. Shall we write it like that? 2 complex numbers. 2 complex numbers as solutions. 2 complex numbers as solutions. Now, to finish it off, that's a mosquito. Square root method, all this we did. Go through them I will try to, would it help if I upload the note that I did? See you. Note also, like class notes. So otherwise, watching the video, you have to prepare your note. No? It's different, some places different from what you have here. Polynomial equations of higher degree. What do you mean by higher degree? More than 2. Higher degree is more than 1, but quadratics we have done, no? Even higher ones. So first example, there is one given there, but polynomial equations of higher degree. So let me do one problem so you can do this one. Higher degree. Higher degree polynomial equations. Higher degree. Just say higher degree. Example, x to the power of 5, 2x to the power of 5 equals x to the power x squared. Solve. Only for quadratics we go for complex roots. Okay. But if you are asked to solve, you are asked to find only the real solutions. Solve this and find real solutions. Real roots. Find the real roots. That mistake would come up. X to the power 5 equals x squared. Don't divide by x squared, because we don't know whether x is 0 or not. Do not divide by x squared. It may be 0. It is 0. 0 for x equals 0. So if you divide, you lose that solution. So best is to take this to the other side. For higher degree, all you can do is factor it. Higher degree ones are solved using factoring method. No quadratic formula, no completion of square, no taking square roots method. So solved using factoring method. Factoring method is the only solution, only method. Factoring method. How do I factor? Take this to the other side. 2x to the power of 5 minus x squared is equal to 0. Factor x squared out. You get 2x cubed minus 1 equal to 0. I did it quickly, yeah? X to the power of 5, if I take x squared out, now multiply out, you get this many. So check that. Now product of two things equal to 0. So x squared equal to 0 or 2x cubed minus 1 equal to 0. You can solve this using factoring method also again, but we can easily do it. X squared equal to 0. X equal to 0 or x equal to 0 twice if you want. Or here 2x cubed equals 1. Therefore, x equal to 0. You don't get stuck, we don't have time. X equals 0 or this is x cubed equals half. Only one cube root for a real number. There are two square roots for a positive real number. But if you write square root 4, this is not plus or minus 4. This is just 2 plus positive square root. Yes, so x equals 0 or x is equal to 1/3 cubic root 1 over 2 to the power 1/3. If you want, you can write this as 1 over 2 to the power 1/3. So higher order equations are solved using factoring method. There is another example there in the note. I want you to go through that. After that, just say something about absolute value method, absolute value problems. We lost 15 minutes now. Otherwise, absolute value. Absolute values. Suppose you have a absolute x is equal to 2. Solve. X is equal to absolute x is equal to plus or minus 2. Second example, absolute 2x minus 1 equals 5. How do you solve this one? Solve again same method. 2x minus 1 equals plus or minus 5. So we have two equations. Take this to the other side. 2x equals 1 plus or minus 5. So I have two equations. 2x equals 6 or 2x equals, take the minus side, plus 6 minus side minus 4. So you get x is equal to 3 divided by 2 or x is equal to minus 2. Solving. Absolute x is on the number line. On the number line, absolute x represents the distance from 0 to x. This distance is absolute x, regardless of whether it is positive here. If x is there, x is a negative number. Still, this distance cannot be negative. Distance is absolute value x. If the x and 0 are the same, absolute value x, absolute value of 0 is 0. So distance from the origin interpretation can be used to solve it. So now I think we can stop. During the interactive sessions, you will do absolute value questions involving absolute value also. If you need more explanation, just send me a WhatsApp message. Yeah, I have given you my phone number 071-850-1625. Don't think of this as a O-level course or anything, because I always put something that is not there, whatever level that I teach, because there are things in Sri Lanka, mathematics is not done the way it should be done. Okay, teachers just tell you how to do things, but they don't explain why those things work, which is the mathematics. Otherwise, other stuff, even yeah, yeah, you don't need to be learning mathematics to just perform procedures. Now computers can do it much faster than humans. But so the conceptual understanding is what is lacking. So don't consider this. I'm sure you all will come to a better level, better prepared. You will all be better prepared for the institutional core module after taking this. Okay? So enjoy the rest of the week. This is my WhatsApp number if you want to. Okay? So next week, I'm not sure whether I can do it. Miss Shanika will do it next week, I think. I have another national obligation to attend to, so I might not be able to do it. But whenever possible, I come and do it. Towards the end, I will do a review session for exam also. Okay? So, but your attendance is absolutely essential. Huh? ඔක්කොම එන්න දිගටම එන්න. So polynomial equations, then you have, there are some, if you are finding it difficult, just let me know. These type of problems might be discussed. Now you are equations with absolute values, the things we did a problem similar to this, and then there is a complicated looking one here, is the same. So it's that is where it stops. Okay, absolute value I would like to talk a little more later. Okay, students, I will stop there. Bye to everyone. Good night. අයියෝ ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ මොනවද කියන්නේ නැහනේ. You have to say something, no? When somebody say good night, at least you have to say good night. Care Berna, just kidding. Okay, you cannot. Yes. Okay. If you need extra help, let me know. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Rec-